To understand how this happened, we need to return to the moment when Blockbuster appeared almost impossible to defeat. In 2010, one of the world's most powerful entertainment companies was collapsing. But 10 years earlier, it had been offered its future for just $50 million. Millions of families had spent their Friday nights inside these stores. Now, once crowded aisles stood empty, and thousands of employees faced an uncertain future. This was Blockbuster, a company so dominant that the idea of an unknown internet startup replacing it once sounded almost ridiculous. At its peak in 2004, the blue and yellow rental chain had become a familiar part of neighborhoods around the world. Families walked through its aisles, choosing the films that would define their weekends, while employees scanned cases behind crowded checkout counters. Blockbuster eventually operated more than 9,000 locations worldwide. Its enormous network appeared to be an unbeatable advantage. Every store meant visibility, convenience, and another barrier against smaller competitors. Even something customers disliked, late return fees, helped generate hundreds of millions of dollars and reinforced Blockbuster's confidence in its existing model. But a small startup called Netflix was quietly building something different. Movies ordered online, delivered by mail, and returned without traditional late fees. In the year 2000, Netflix's founders entered Blockbuster's office with a proposal worth approximately $50 million. What happened next became legendary. According to Mark Randolph, Blockbuster's chief executive struggled to suppress a laugh. To him, Netflix was a small, struggling mail order company asking far too much. Netflix was not asking Blockbuster to abandon its stores. The proposal was for Netflix to operate Blockbuster's online rental business while Blockbuster promoted Netflix inside its enormous retail network. From Blockbuster's perspective, rejecting the offer did not seem foolish. It had millions of customers and thousands of stores, while Netflix had only a few 100,000 subscribers and was losing money. The meeting ended without a deal. Netflix's founders returned to California not as winners, but as leaders of a fragile company that still had to prove its business could survive. Netflix's advantage was simple. Customers selected DVDs online, received them through the mail, and returned them in prepaid envelopes, without visiting a store or paying traditional late fees. That difference mattered because customers hated late fees. What generated substantial revenue for Blockbuster also created resentment, while Netflix turned the absence of traditional late fees into a reason to switch. Netflix also learned from every click, rating, and rental. Its recommendation system improved as more customers joined, helping people discover films without wandering through physical store aisles. Because Netflix did not need a store in every neighborhood, it could expand through warehouses, software, and delivery. Each new customer did not require another expensive retail location. Blockbuster was not completely blind to the threat. Its executives watched Netflix grow, but protecting thousands of stores and existing revenue made decisive change increasingly difficult. In 2004, Blockbuster finally launched its own online DVD subscription service. With a famous brand, millions of customers, and thousands of stores, it still had a genuine chance to catch Netflix. Blockbuster's response eventually combined DVDs by mail with its retail network, allowing online customers to exchange rentals inside stores. Netflix suddenly faced a competitor with enormous physical reach. For a time, the strategy worked. Customers could order DVDs online, return them by mail, or exchange them immediately in stores, an option Netflix could not offer. Blockbuster made another dramatic move in 2005. It announced an end to traditional late fees, attacking the same revenue source that had once helped make it powerful. But competing online while supporting thousands of stores was extraordinarily expensive. Blockbuster was funding its digital future while continuing to pay for the physical empire of its past. Inside the boardroom, investors questioned the enormous cost of the turnaround. The leadership pushing Blockbuster's online strategy faced growing pressure to protect short-term profits instead. In 2007, the chief executive leading Blockbuster's online expansion left the company. The new leadership reduced the costly digital campaign and redirected attention toward the existing stores. While Blockbuster reconsidered its online spending, Netflix continued investing in software, customer data, and internet delivery. It was preparing for a future beyond DVDs. In 2007, Netflix introduced streaming. The early selection was limited, but customers could now begin watching without driving to a store or waiting for a DVD. As more customers changed their habits, Blockbuster's greatest advantage became a burden. Every store carried rent, salaries, inventory, and operating costs, even when fewer people walked through the door. By the end of the decade, the two companies were no longer fighting the same battle. Netflix was building a streaming future, while Blockbuster was still defending a shrinking physical empire. Netflix was no longer Blockbuster's only threat. Cheap DVD kiosks appeared outside supermarkets, while cable companies and technology platforms increasingly delivered movies directly into people's homes. Blockbuster entered this fight carrying heavy debt and thousands of expensive store leases. The money required to maintain its physical network left less room for another aggressive digital transformation. In 2008, Blockbuster even explored buying the struggling electronics retailer Circuit City. The proposal was eventually withdrawn, but it reflected a company searching urgently for a new direction. Then, the global financial crisis struck. Consumers cut unnecessary spending, store traffic weakened, and Blockbuster's debt became even harder to manage as its revenues continued falling. By 2010, Blockbuster was running out of time. Losses were mounting. Creditors were demanding payment, and the company was carrying roughly $900 million in debt. On September 23, 2010, Blockbuster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. It hoped to reduce its debt, reorganize the business, and keep thousands of stores operating. Bankruptcy did not make Blockbuster disappear overnight. Thousands of stores initially remained open, but the company was now fighting for survival while customers continued moving toward digital entertainment. In 2011, Dish Network acquired Blockbuster's remaining assets. The new owner hoped the famous brand and its stores could still play a role in home entertainment. The rescue could not restore the old business. By early 2014, Blockbuster's remaining company-owned stores had closed, ending an era that once seemed permanent. Meanwhile, Netflix continued expanding its streaming service around the world. The small company Blockbuster had declined to buy was becoming part of everyday entertainment. Today, one independently operated Blockbuster store remains in Bend, Oregon. It survives not as a global empire, but as a nostalgic reminder of how quickly dominance can disappear. Blockbuster was not destroyed by Netflix alone. Heavy debt, expensive leases, leadership changes, kiosks, streaming, the financial crisis, and changing customer habits all contributed to its collapse. Blockbuster did recognize the threat. It launched online rentals, challenged traditional late fees, and experimented with digital delivery. Its failure was not complete blindness. It was inconsistent execution under enormous pressure. The greatest lesson is not simply that Blockbuster should have bought Netflix. Successful companies become vulnerable when protecting yesterday's profits prevents them from building tomorrow's business. So imagine yourself inside that boardroom in the year 2000. Would you have paid $50 million for Netflix or made the same decision as Blockbuster? Tell us in the comments.